Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we are talking about Clefairy. And yes, I know, ladies and gentlemen, Clefairy is an evolving Pokemon. Clefairy is a little 40 HP basic from Evolutions. Doesn't look great on the face of it, but I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, right now, this may be one of the best tech cards that nobody's playing. Now, I say nobody, that's not strictly true. Ruken Chao, and I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation there, because I probably did, played this in Vikavolt Bulu and made top 8 at Hartford Regionals this weekend. I think more people should be playing this, because although it works in Vikavolt Bulu, that is not the only deck in which this would be fun to play. So looking at the basics of the card, 40 HP is absolutely abysmal. This will not be able to survive a hit from very much at all. Does have a resistance to dark, which is nice, but still. And the weakness to metal is irrelevant because you've got 40 HP. I say that, it's actually not, because Registeel does 30 for 1 energy. That one's coming out in the upcoming Crimson Invasion set, so actually would get a KO with weakness. First attack, Sing, 1 colourless, flip a coin if heads, your opponent's active is asleep. Might be useful in some games in the early game, but there's only a 50% chance they're going to go asleep. Then there's a 50% chance they'll wake up before their turn, so it's only 1 in 4 times, like with Hypnotoxic Laser, where this is actually going to stick going into their turn. But the reason we play this is Metronome. Free colourless energy, choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks, and use it as this attack. Now the wording here is extremely important, because you do not need the correct energy. So take something like Mew from Fates Collide, which has Memories of Dawn as an ability, allows you to use the attacks of any of your basic Pokemon in play, but you've got to have the right energy, whereas Zoroark Break can copy anything for a darkness energy, but you don't need the correct energy. Clefairy, ladies and gentlemen, is like Zoroark Break. It's not like Mew, and there's plenty of times you'll want to be copying. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, we need to figure out how we're getting those free energy on there. First of all, of course, it being free colourless, you could use double colourless energy. Then you'd only have to add 1 more energy, and you might consider playing Max Elixir here. Clefairy is a basic Pokemon, so you can use Max Elixir. Then add a double colourless energy, assuming the Max Elixir hits, and then you will have free energy on your Clefairy. As a side note here, you could just take a couple turns building up the energy here, but the whole point of Clefairy is you drop it as a bit of a surprise when your opponent's not expecting it, so they can't play around it. So, yeah. I really would recommend trying to drop this as a surprise, hence Max Elixir. Now, as I said, this could be played in Vikavolt. Vikavolt makes a lot of sense here. It's all colourless energy. So you use Vikavolt Strong Charge to attach a Lightning and a Grass, attach a third energy from your hand, and the great thing here is, unlike Taboo Bulu, it doesn't matter what the third energy is, because with Taboo Bulu, after a Strong Charge, you've got to attach a second Grass, and if you've only got Lightning, it's super annoying. Not the case with Clefairy. And then you've got that free energy ready to go. This would fit quite nicely into a Gardevoir deck. Gardevoir has the ability Secret Spring that allows you to attach an extra fairy energy per turn. Then, of course, you're playing double colourless energy in Gardevoir GX decks anyway, so you might as well just go Secret Spring, double colourless energy, and off Clefairy goes as an attacker. You could use Xerneas here, using Geomancy to start building up a Clefairy on your bench, although, as I have said in the past, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to remember here that this will telegraph to your opponent what you're planning to do, so they can try and work around it. And finally, coming out in Crimson Invasion, we have Silve Ally. Now, I've talked about Silve Ally a couple times lately, although, spoiler alert, not the last I'm going to be talking about Silve Ally. Free energy, 120, attach an energy from your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. Again, you could do this for Clefairy, but again, your opponent then knows Clefairy is coming and can try and work around it. So by now, hopefully, we've got the free energy on Clefairy. The question is, what are we going to do with them? Well, let me give you a whole bunch of examples. Let's take Gardevoir, for instance. Gardevoir takes free energy in total to KO a Gardevoir. 230 HP means 8 energy to do 240 damage and get the KO. Now, assuming you have free energy on a Clefairy, then they need to have either 5 energy on them, or they need to have 4 energy on them, and you need to have a choice band on your Clefairy. So essentially, Clefairy is really good against Gardevoir in matchups where you can force or manipulate your opponent into putting 4 or 5 energy onto a Gardevoir. Like, for instance, when you're playing Taboo Bulu. Taboo Bulu's got a great attack for a couple of reasons. Firstly, you get to do 180 damage with the old Nature's Judgment, but you also get to discard all energy attached to Taboo Bulu, if you wish to do so, and that's how you get up to 180 rather than 120. So if you're sitting there with Taboo Bulu doing this, Gardevoir will only be able to get a KO if they put 6 energy on a Gardevoir, or 5 energy plus a choice band. If they don't do this, you can 2-hit KO, but at some point you're using Tapu Wilderness to heal, so they're not 2-hit KOing. And if they do this, you can get them back with Clefairy. And that's the point here, ladies and gentlemen. You end up in a wonderful situation where either you're winning the 2-hit KO race between Tapu Bulu and Gardevoir, or they try and get a 1-hit KO and in comes Clefairy, and oh yeah, just in case I haven't made this clear enough previously in this video, Clefairy is a non-EX, non-GX Pokemon that only gives up a single prize. Maybe something like Noivern gets big, and you can use this as a fairy attacker to take down any dragon Pokemon that get big, because of course dragon Pokemon will be weak to fairy. Something to bear in mind, given that it is a basic Pokemon that attacks for colourless energy, this can be teched into any deck whatsoever. And then of course there's some Pokemon that you can just copy and KO. Think Ho-Oh GX. Ho-Oh GX has an attack that does 180, and it has 190 HP. So you'll need a choice band on Clefairy here, but as long as you whack a choice band on there, you do 190 and get a 1-hit KO. So you're a non-GX Pokemon getting a KO for free energy, rather than a GX Pokemon getting a KO for 4 energy. That, ladies and gentlemen, is really quite absurdly great. Now, at this stage, I should make it very clear that when you copy the attack, you copy all of the attack. So you can copy a GX using Clefairy, but then you cannot use another GX. You can copy Phoenix Burn, but you can't use Phoenix Burn the following turn. Here's what's really cool, though. Another Pokemon that you can KO straight away using Clefairy is Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu has 180 HP, so you copy Nature's Judgment, discard all the energy attached to you, you do 180. And you do have to discard the energy because that's what the attack says. But let's take Turtonator GX here. Turtonator GX does 160 and has 190 HP. So as long as you whack a choice band on there, you're fine. But here's what's really awesome with Clefairy. When you KO Turtonator, you don't have to discard the energy. The ruling is this. You do 160. Then, after doing the damage, you discard 2 fire energy from Clefairy. You look at Clefairy. If there's no fire energy on there, you go, oh, cool. You only discard if there's fire energy on Clefairy. Obviously, if there is, you do. And this goes right back to Zoroark from Black and White, copying Blue Flare on Reshiram from Black and White, which had the same ruling. You cannot discard fire energy if there's no fire energy on there, and the attack you do, and then discard the energy. I can't think of a more recent example, let me know in the comments if you've got one, but an exception to this would be something like the Plasma Lugia, which clearly states, if you can't discard a plasma energy, this attack does nothing. As long as it's just a regular discard, you only discard if you can. You can pay the attack cost with Clefairy, but you can't discard it, so you don't. How cool is that? We've also got Solgaleo GX, which is another one of these Pokemon that you can get a KO on, you will need a choice band, but just straight off. So Solgaleo GX, 250 HP, free energy attack, and you just come up with a Clefairy, free energy, choice band, 1-hit KO with Sunsteel Strike. You would have to discard all the energy though, because that is what it says. Now, they're the big KOs you can get, but there's a couple other fun things you can do. Maybe you come across a Necrozma GX and you copy Black Ray GX, do 100 damage to all of your opponent's EXs and GXs. Maybe you come across something like a Sylveon GX, copy Plea to grab yourselves a whole bunch of cards and start getting set up very, very nicely indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, there are basically infinite options here. I've just taken you through a bunch of what I think are the most fun ones, but let's be clear about this. There are so many more. And it's not just that there are more now, more will be released all the time. So take, for instance, Gus Lord Gx, which is coming out in Crimson Invasion. Gus Lord does a flat 180, but for 5 energy. Clefairy comes up here with a choice band, gets a one-hit KO by copying Tyrannical Hole, but only has to use 3 energy. Silly, yes. Overpowered, arguably. But absolutely viable and possible, and something which is in your bag of tricks. And it's not just for Vikavolt decks, ladies and gentlemen. Gardevoir can pay the attack cost very nicely. You've got double colourless energy. You've got max elixir. I do think we need to start taking Clefairy seriously. And I do think we need to start thinking of Clefairy as an absolutely viable tech. But I don't think we need to be limiting it to Vikavolt Bulu. Yeah, Clefairy is a great tech against Gardevoir if you're playing Taboo Bulu Vikavolt, but guess what? Clefairy is a great deck against Taboo Bulu if you're playing Gardevoir. I think we could start seeing a great increase in Clefairy being played. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWossy, and Twitch at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. That's where the live action happens. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc., and there's one going up in just a couple of days, so get there. Patreon.com/PTCGRadio is the place to go. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.